Welcome, Leo, to Nice and Blunt. Are we rolling? I think we're rolling. Yes, we're rolling. Welcome, Leo, to Nice and Blunt Astrology. I am your astrologer, Adam Riancho, and for this video, we are going to talk about this new moon in your sign, and it's all about the rest of the month. We might dip in a little bit into September, the general planetary transits over the next 2-3 weeks. But before we just take a look at your chart, I just want to remind you this is intended, specifically the astrology portion of this reading, the tarot portion a little bit less so, for rising Leos particularly. That's kind of how I am able to interpret astrology. That's just how I resonate with it the most. So keep that in mind. It is a general reading. If something doesn't resonate with you, perhaps it's because you have a different rising sign. That's always an important piece of information to know. Or perhaps, it might just be something else. Leave what doesn't resonate, but if it does, I hope it's helpful for you. But with that in mind, let's take a look at your chart right now. And this is the chart of today, August 16th, 2023. And as you can see right here, the moon, it's kind of hidden by the sign of Lilith, this black glyph in front of it, but it is completely conjunct the sun. And that is what we call a new moon, in case you are new to some of the terminology of astrology. And it's also essentially conjunct Venus. It crossed over Venus earlier last night and over the course of today. That is definitely the vibe of what the moon, which is all about your emotions, is highlighting. So that is the vibe right now, and it's taking place in your first house of identity. So not only how you perceive yourself, how you want to be perceived. I think Leo is definitely a sign that loves the spotlight, and sometimes it can get a bad rap. I think it's a little bit misunderstood in that regard. People, I think, are a little bit jealous of how easily the spotlight can come to Leos. But I think right now, this is really a great energy for you, Leos. And I think it's very easy to take on some of that spotlight a little bit extra. But another theme of new moons in general are all about new beginnings. I think manifestation is often a term associated with a new moon. And I think it's also a great time to make an investment into the future. So looking ahead and starting something new is really, really what new moons are all about. And given it's in your first house, we are officially starting the first full cycle of your zodiac chart during this Leo season. So this is your time. This is definitely a boost in energy to your sign. And one thing to keep in mind, though, is that this is currently squaring Uranus in Neptune, technically Jupiter as well. That's what these two glyphs are. This one is Uranus and this one is Jupiter, in case you are unfamiliar with the symbols of the planets. And that's what this line right here would signify, a square between the two. So this is taking place in your 10th house of career, and Uranus is all about kind of rebelling, doing things out of the ordinary. It wants to push forward, definitely make some progress. And Uranus has been influencing you in that realm for quite some time. It's been several years since it's been there. So with the boost in Jupiter, also in the 10th house, you are experiencing plenty of luck in addition to that. But I think changes that can be made right now are going to be lasting changes that can really come to fruition. This is a great time to be reevaluating what's going on, especially with the Venus retrograde that's been going on over the course of the last 3+ weeks since late July. Venus is mostly about love, feminine energy, but also about material possessions, wealth, and money. So that is obviously tied in with your career as well. That's what the 10th house is all about, career. So these are things definitely being spotlit for you at the moment. But in addition to that, in addition to this new moon in your first house, we also have Mercury conjunct Mars, which has been the case for quite some time in your second house. And the second house is also about material possessions, money as well. Venus is kind of the theme, one of the rulers of everyone's second house. So this is definitely something that's being spotlit for you at the moment. So one thing that is also worth keeping in mind in regards to this Mercury Mars transit is that it is opposite, not over there, but opposite Neptune in Pisces in your eighth house. And the eighth house is all about desire, some of the depths of your consciousness, some things that we might want to keep a little hidden, death, transformation, rebirth, also a big theme of the eighth house, which is also influenced by Saturn at the moment. But when it comes to this opposition, it is very much a straight 180-degree opposition when it comes to the planet of Neptune. So there's a lot of dreams and symbols that are being brought up right now, a lot of the unconscious that is being stimulated when it comes to your desires. And given Saturn is also there and it's an opposition in general, these two placements are really fighting against each other. That's the longest distance that it needs to travel in order for them to be aligned. But because of the polarity, they do share some similar values, and meeting in the middle, I think, is one way to kind of approach this energy and try to keep ourselves balanced. So keep that in mind. However, you may be very, very frustrated when it comes to your value at the moment. I think there's some insights into your job right now that are taking place. And I think one thing that's really worth noting about Mars and Mercury in Virgo. Virgo is a heavy planner. Virgo can sometimes be a perfectionist, kind of gets a bad rap sometimes for that. However, when it comes to Mars specifically in Virgo, it does not like to move until the plan is almost foolproof. If we know that our plan is almost guaranteed to work, if we know each step of it along the way and how all of those pieces are going to align, then Mars in Virgo feels much, much more comfortable taking action and moving forward. So you may have felt like things have been a little extra slow over the course of the last few weeks, especially with the retrogrades going on. It can be very frustrating. But when it comes to the later degrees of Mars in Virgo and just Virgo in general, that's usually when the plan is like really well meticulously crafted, and usually we know the steps that we are required to take. So as we are finishing up this transit, Mars will enter Libra pretty soon. It's going to take place on the 28th of August, so that's about 12 days from now. I think this is where things are really going to materialize, as we still have about a week or so plus in terms of this Leo season. It's still not over, so you are still getting a big boost. The sun will move into Virgo on the 24th. And until then, there's also something worth noting that's very interesting about this Mercury and Mars transit. It's the grand trine that's taking place between these three planets in Capricorn. So we have Pluto over here in Earth signs, excuse me. The three planets in Earth signs create this grand trine, as we call it, this blue triangle in the chart. And Pluto in Capricorn is one of them. We also have the Mercury Mars in Virgo, as we were mentioning. And then there's also the Uranus Jupiter kind of conjunction, not quite, but definitely big influence in the sign of Taurus. So when it comes to our grounding energy, what keeps us stable, our routines, that is definitely something that we can lean into for comfort right now. And material wealth possessions are also something being spotlit. And we do have a bit of extra luck when it comes to this realm. So that is something I have for you. That is what I have for you in regard to this. It's a really good time to make a change and be looking to the future. Growing and leaving what's not working in the past, I think, is a good idea at the moment. A great time to be betting on yourself. The first house that we were talking about at the beginning of this video is all about your self-identity. So that is definitely something to keep in mind. But just in terms of The three other transits that I want to that I want to mention for the sake of this video, we're not just talking about today, we're also talking about the rest of August and a little bit into the beginning of September. I'm not exactly sure when's the next time I will speak to you, Leo. It'll probably be in about 2 or 3 weeks when we will revisit your chart and get another reading for you. But on the 24th, the sun will enter the sign of Virgo, so Leo season will be over. That's going to be your second house. However, the same day, Mercury, this green symbol right here, is also going to go retrograde in the sign of Virgo the exact same day. And Mercury is one of the rulers of Virgo. It's actually the only ruler of Virgo, excuse me. And because of that, the past is definitely going to be brought up. There's a lot of revisiting that comes with any retrograde period, but especially when Mercury is retrograde in Virgo, our communication can really be challenged. Our gut instinct are things that we really want to rely on, but the impulsivity might be something to keep in mind. A heavy tendency towards perfectionism is also a little bit concerning. And once we hit the 24th, it's really going to be a very, very different vibe. That is for sure. So this is this leaves you with about a week to really soak up and maximize the rest of this Leo energy. So between the 16th today and the 24th, just over a week from now, I think now is really the time to, if you need some good luck for the changes that you want to make, that I think is when that is going to be at its height. So keep that in mind. But we're also going to have Venus retrograde, the blue symbol right here. This retrograde that we're experiencing is going to end on September 3rd. So retrograde period is when the planet is visually, from our perspective, moving backwards. And it started on July 23rd, and it was at 28 degrees of Leo. So it's been moving backwards, and right now it's at about 15 degrees or so. In a couple of weeks, on the 3rd of September, it will revisit its initial starting point of 12 degrees of Leo. And the last time we had this planetary transit was on June 20th. So that is the period of time that I want you to think back to in terms of this Venus retrograde overall experience. What was going on between late June, starting on June 20th, up until now? That is what's really been crossed over over the course of this retrograde period. And because we started it at 28 degrees of Leo, even when the retrograde is over, technically on the 3rd, the shadow period, the 3rd transit over these degrees, will not be officially complete until October 7th. So right now we're really in the middle of it, really in the thick of things. And because of that midpoint in this transit, it's really peaking right now. And I think a lot of the clarity that we've been trying to achieve, that Venus is trying to teach us over the course of this transit, is really coming to fruition, really starting to clarify and calcify in our minds. So this is the time to revisit love, money, and value, things that we've been mentioning over the course of this reading, over the course of this video. And while maybe you don't have perfect clarity on the job that may be a little frustrating right now, or perhaps the lover, the love interest that may not have been as fulfilling, or just a little bit difficult to properly connect with at the moment, expect everything to start to move over the next month, especially once we hit September. That month is really where things are going to be hashed out and completed. And I think right now we have kind of crossed the eye of the storm, so to speak. We're definitely at the middle of it, and we're on the later half. So things will start to get a little bit easier and more clear over the next couple weeks. And then over the course of the month of September, once we hit the first week of October, that's when I think, if things haven't come to fruition at that point. Things really will. If you don't have the answer that you've been striving for, that you've been looking for, I think it'll be very clear by the time we enter October. So a little bit of patience needs to be exercised right now. That's definitely something to keep in mind. But, we will get there. And I promise you, Leo, things will start to move once we move through September. But lastly, the last planetary transit that I want to mention for the sake of this video, it's technically more so the case for September, but I do want to visit it real quick before we get into your tarot cards, and it's the planet of Mars, because Mars is a fire energy planet, so linked to you. It's definitely, I don't want to say diminished, but at the same time, it's definitely frustrated in the sign of Virgo. As we mentioned, there's a bit of extra perfectionism, and if the plan is not in place, movement can really come to a standstill. So when it enters an air sign, that is definitely a bit more compatible with the fire energy of Mars. But keep in mind, Mars is the ruler of the sign of Aries, which is across from Libra. So an opposition is also not the most ideal placement either. However, the air energy, I think, is definitely going to be a breath of fresh air, pardon the pun, when it comes to our aggression and our action, our sense of male vitality. That's what Mars is all about. So at the end of August, specifically the 28th, is when we will experience this shift. So still a couple weeks until we get there. But keep in mind that this is still a slightly difficult spot for Mars in general, but it does move much, much quicker than it does in the sign of Virgo. So there will be a lot more speed when it comes to taking action once we are officially in September, as I've been mentioning, and Mars will definitely be a part of that. However, one thing that's really important to keep in mind about Libra energy in general, there can be a tendency towards compromise. And if you do not feel like you are in the right in a situation, if maybe you've just been, a thorn in someone's side for the sake of it, you haven't really wanted to concede your position, while maybe you know that maybe they have the higher ground and you're just being a little bit extra difficult. Not that I'm saying that's a guarantee. I'm just saying if in the hypothetical scenario, compromise should definitely be considered. I think if you are willing to compromise, there will be a much more fair and just agreement that is reached. However, if you don't, if you're really trying to dig your heels in and have a reluctance to compromise, whoever that is, whether it's you or the other person, punishment can really, really come down harshly on those who are being the ones taking advantage of the other. I think if you have been taken advantage of yourself, Mars in Libra is going to really lean in to that energy of justice. After all, Libra is the sign of justice. That's the tarot card for Libra, and legality is definitely something that Libra is a bit of an expert in. Definitely more of an exalted vibe in terms of the justice system and fairness. So that's definitely what's going to be emphasized, and it's possible that the legal system does come into play as we enter Mars in Libra, whether you want to take legal action on someone else, whether they want to take it on you, or, the rules have been broken and there is some type of punishment involved, whether it's legally speaking or just morality speaking. There's always a bit of an unwritten code in every situation you're in, whether it be your job or simply a relationship with one of your friends. There are lines that are not supposed to be crossed, and if whoever was the one that crossed them, they could be dealing with some punishment in a possibly harsh fashion. So that is just something to keep in mind. Libra does rule justice, so breaking the rules in the month of September, really not something that I am advising. Just a general warning, not only for you, but for every single sign out there. Watch out. And if someone breaks the rules against you, then there may be some real harsh punishments against them. So that is also something to keep in mind. And with that, I think we have finished our chart reading, the astrology portion of the video. So now we will be moving on to part 2, and we will be pulling some tarot cards for the sign of Leo. And I will timestamp this, and we will keep that in the description. So if you're just jumping ahead now, we are officially in the tarot section of the video. So disclaimer again, this is a general reading. If you'd like a personal reading, you can always email me at niceandblunt@gmail.com. It should be written in the description below already. If not, by the time I am done with this video, I will add it. But yeah, that's all the disclaimers that I wanted to mention before we start shuffling. Oh, I guess, sorry, last one. In case I pull a card and it comes out face down, my general rule of thumb is to always read those face up unless the card falls reversed. Then I read the cards in the upright position. So that is all I have for you. This is a tarot reading for the rest of August, starting on this new moon, for the sign of Leo. First two cards out are the Empress and the Two of Pentacles. We'll get at least like 10 cards or so shuffled through the deck at least twice before we unpack the entire thing, but those are the first two cards. What else do we have? We also have the Ace of Pentacles. That's great. Definitely some money that might be coming in. We also have Temperance. So patience is kind of the name of the game with Temperance. But we'll keep going. Ooh, the 10 of Pentacles. Some very, very lucky and productive wealth energy so far in this reading. That's definitely a good vibe, but we will keep going. Ooh, we also have the Death card. Death card. Some transformations on their way. Next card out is the King of Cups. Some emotional stability. What else we got? The Magician, another major arcana. So far you have 4 major arcana through the first 8 cards of this reading. So, okay, we have 8 cards. I will probably shuffle through one more time, but we will revisit these 8 cards that have emerged from the deck right now. So first 2 that came out, as we mentioned, were the Empress and the Two of Pentacles that came out together. And the Empress, when it comes to love, the Empress is definitely fulfilled and satisfied on her own. This is not necessarily a male or female reading. It's not gender specific. So this can definitely be something that you can tap into, even if you are not technically a feminine energy listening to this reading. But the Empress could also signify pregnancy. There is a connotation of this card that has to do with pregnancy. So that's something to keep in mind if it's not something that you are planning on at the moment. If you're not trying to conceive, then maybe you might want to be a little extra cautious. But another vibe of this card is that this person, this Empress right here, has everything that she needs, despite the presence of a lover. While one is implied, it's not exactly the case that she has a partner. And no matter what, the vibe that comes with this is definitely a very attractive type of energy. So if you are on the side of this that does not have a partner, claiming your vitality, stepping into your first house energy is definitely what's going to attract that, because you already have everything that you need in many respects, and you are very attractive on your own. So that is something to definitely be proud of right now. But right now you're also juggling and dealing with multiple roles. You may have various activities that you want to balance out right now. And because of that, you need to manage your time and not devote too much energy to one thing. Make sure that you keep your energy intact so that you have the opportunity to give more energy to the other thing that you want to balance. It's a kind of a constant, that's what this infinity loop is kind of signifying. There's a constant sense of prioritizing one thing over the other, but keeping the other thing in the back of your mind. If you are literally juggling something, you are very much aware of multiple moving parts. So that is, I think, the general mindset to implement, stepping into your power and not emphasizing one thing too much over the other, keeping things balanced in that regard. But when it comes to those financial gains, Leo, I think it's coming. Definitely going to look positive very, very soon. The fact that this Ace of Pentacles came up with two cards later, the Ten of Pentacles, means that you are really attracting wealth right now. And I mean, the Venus retrograde, the 10th house placements, even the 6th house placements, your general vibe right now is really, really attractive. And whether or not you are asking for it, this money is just going to show up. There is new opportunity. It is definitely coming your way. But before we hit that 10 of Pentacles, where, if we're turning one coin into 10, then generational wealth, long-term substantial money, things that are not only going to take care of you but also your family and children, future generations along the line. That is definitely where we are headed. But one thing that is going to keep you from getting there is time. Patience is really the name of the game. Temperance is all about another balancing act in many ways. This person has one foot on the ground, one foot in the water. They're also pouring liquid from one cup into the other as the sun is setting. So the specific timing of this moment is very unique as depicted in this card. There's also some references to Jupiter and the sign of Sagittarius and Pisces when it comes to this card. But general divine timing, I think, is something that you need to trust in the universe that it has a plan. And when the moment is right, things will really move. Until then, if it's not where you want it to be, all you have to do is have faith, have trust, not push the situation too quickly. Remember that Virgo Mars energy that I was talking about, having a plan that is foolproof before you act is really important to this moment. And over the course of the next 2 weeks, that plan will really come into fruition, really be executed properly. So keep your patience, Leo, and one coin will turn into 10 and not only take care of you, but take care of all the others that you want to take care of as well. So very, very exciting. But the last three cards are very pivotal energies. Remember, we had death come right after that. So death is all about rebirth, and that's the general vibe of a new moon. While death can be a scary card, at the end of the day, it very rarely indicates literal death. I mean, perhaps there is someone that you know that may be crossing over to the other side, maybe passing away, but for the most part, it's a situation that is transforming. Whatever it's been up to this point is just really not working out right now. And while you may know it, whether you are reluctant to get along with it, the universe is going to take care of that ending and it will come to an end. Things will be changing. But out of those ashes, we will be reborn. There's a lot of phoenix energy. While it may not be depicted specifically in this card, that's the general vibe. Once one door closes, another one opens. And only until we leave that room will we cross over to the other side and be in the new energy. So new energy also is indicated with the death card, but it can be difficult to say goodbye, to end things. But whether you have planned for this, whether you want it or not, or maybe you're really hoping for a change, I think that is what is about to happen. And once this occurs, the King of Cups indicates that you will feel much more at ease. You will be able to calm those rough waters. I mean, this king's throne is in the middle of the ocean, and deeper in the background of this photo, there are very, very rocky waters, a lot of rough waves that would normally shake someone. Like, it's not an easy place to have your throne on the surface of the ocean. Like, that is definitely an easy place to fall out of. But because of your clarity, especially when it comes to your emotional state of being, these cups are full. There's a lot of power and a lot of recognition that other people can't shake you. You are not going to be wavered by other people's attempts to, rile you up, whether it be slander or, just general, um, rudeness that people are exerting, it will brush off of you very, very easy. None of their opinions matter to your sense of value, and you're extremely confident in yourself. So, this death and transformation, I think, is really going to bring about a sense of confidence within you. And what an excellent way to probably wrap up this reading with the magician. You have every single tool needed for you to accomplish your goals already on the table, and as above so below is what this symbol indicates, and you will make the magic happen. Another thing about the magician card is that it has the infinity symbol, something that also came up with the Two of Pentacles earlier in the video. And while the strength card is not in this reading, the strength card is also heavily, heavily influenced by that infinity symbol. It's on the thumbnail of this video. So if you are a little bit unsure of what I'm referring to, you can always go back to the page and take a look at it. You can also just Google the strength card. But this infinity power is definitely your energy, Leo. It's definitely the strength of Leo energy. So you will be able to manifest whatever you want as this new moon steps into this new era the rest of the year for you. And I think the rest of Leo season, the remainder of August, is going to be extremely, extremely positive, especially once you move past that death transformation that might be happening as soon as today. I think the new moon is really, really going to pivot the overall energy, and you have about 8 or so days left of Leo season to really capitalize. So that's really, really exciting. I will go through one last shuffle. We won't go too deep, but if there's anything else that falls out, we will just briefly revisit it as some type of clarity into the month of September. So I'll just run through it. I'm not going to go too in depth, but the Five of Swords followed by the Ace of Wands, the Five of Pentacles followed by, there was one that fell. Justice. We mentioned that Libra justice energy, and then the Seven of Swords, Ace of Cups, Page of Wands, Ten of Swords, and lastly the King of Pentacles. So another general, again, it's ending with wealth. I think that's the most positive aspect that we need to focus on. But just from a initial vibe, again, I'm not going to go super in depth on these because it's a little extra bonus reading for you. But I think maybe you felt like people have not taken people have taken you for granted, played a little bit rough, and you're a little bit tired of the pain, but you're ready to move on. You're not lingering on this at all. With it comes a new mind, and with that sharp clarity, you are moving past the sense of lacking that has arisen for you over in the past. And as we step in, especially into that Mars in Libra energy, I think fairness will be the name of the game. Anyone who has taken advantage of you and played a little extra rough will be getting their punishment. You will be rewarded for your patience and remaining on the high road. But you do need to look forward. You need to have some curiosity and excitement for the future. The pain and trauma that has occurred in the past, you have healed from. And while there may be an impulse to kind of hold yourself back, kind of self-sabotage, that is really not what we need to do. As long as we avoid that, we will have the emotional fulfillment that was referenced by the King of Cups. And with it, with that emotional fulfillment, we will also step into our economic fulfillment, and wealth will be coming for you. So that is what I have for you, Leo. Very, very positive energy, very exciting. And it's been a rough Venus retrograde in your first house, but we are at least past the midpoint and things are absolutely looking up. So really excited for you. If you've been watching, make sure you hit that like button and subscribe to the channel for more content like this. But I will see you in the month of September. Looking forward to it and very excited for what is to come. But my name is Adam Riancho, and I will see you next time. Thank you for watching Nice and Blunt Astrology.